radicals. We can even safely take the liberty of calling her a Pakistan puppet. Naturally, Rahul Gandhi's meeting with US woman, Ilhan Omar, has kicked up a storm. Ilhan Omar has been previously ticked off by the Ministry of External Affairs here in India for violating India's territorial sovereignty by making a visit to POK, Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, which is India's territory, and passing anti-India remarks there. The leader of India's opposition occupies a constitutional post. He is virtually the shadow prime minister of the country. The people expect Rahul Gandhi to hold the government to account, but the right doesn't and can never extend to undermining the nation's territorial integrity or sovereignty. So when Rahul Gandhi accepted an invite to meet US lawmakers, he should have checked whether any of them had a history of undermining India's national interest. Due diligence at that level, where the stakes are so high, is par for the course. In fact, Rahul Gandhi could have asked his host to exclude Ilhan Omar. After all, you don't want to legitimize anti-India propagandists. And precedent exists. In 2019, External Affairs Minister Jaishankar cancelled a meeting with US lawmakers after they refused to exclude fellow lawmaker Pramila Jayapal from the delegation scheduled to meet him. Jayapal, very much like Ilhan Omar, had introduced a resolution in US Congress calling upon the US President to formally criticize India's alleged human rights record in Kashmir. Jaishankar said that he couldn't meet Jayapal because, quote, she didn't have a fair understanding, unquote, of the situation in Jammu and Kashmir, or, quote, fair characterization of what the government of India is doing there, unquote. Viewers, as I told you, Jaishankar, and it's on your screens, exercised his right to veto. He wouldn't have been caught dead with somebody who thought that India was not on the right side of the law. His job as a representative of the country, as an envoy, as an ambassador, viewers, is to challenge those, is to clearly challenge those who, my friends, undermine India's national interest. Clearly, Rahul Gandhi doesn't think it is wrong to legitimize Ilhan Omar's selective and motivated anti-India politics. The question, does Rahul Gandhi endorse her anti-India stance? Does he endorse her illiberalism? Why does he think that meeting Ilhan Omar is such an Instagram moment that the Congress party needs to flaunt it brazenly, paste it across social media? And did he even once during the meeting challenge Ilhan Omar on her one-sided anti-India narrative? If he didn't, why did he give her a free pass? Whose side is he on? For those not acquainted with Ilhan Omar's politics, here are some hard facts that will help you gauge for yourselves why she is not a friend of India, or for that matter, a friend of liberalism. Viewers, in 2022, Ilhan Omar sponsored a resolution in US Congress to formally criticize India's alleged human rights record in Kashmir. House Resolution 1196-IH, as it was called, was introduced, quote, condemning human rights violations and violations of international religious freedom in India, including those targeting Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, Dalits, Adivasis, and other religious and cultural minorities, unquote. The resolution also called upon the US state government to designate India as, quote, a country of particular concern, unquote. Interestingly, the resolution was moved by her 2 months after she visited Pakistan. 2 months. Indeed, earlier that year, in 2022, Ilhan Omar met with Pakistan's President Sultan Mahmood Chaudhry. At least they were presidents then. and then Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, where she reportedly discussed the alleged violation of human rights in Jammu and Kashmir. Now, viewers, she has sovereign right to do so. But if she is such a flag bearer for human rights, why didn't she talk about the genocide against minorities, including Muslim minorities, in Pakistan with Sharif? She talks about Islamophobia. When Muslims turn upon other Muslims who they deem are kafirs, that is also a form of Islamophobia. But no, Ilhan Omar kept quiet. Why didn't she talk about xenophobia directed against Baluchis? In that same visit in 2022 to Pakistan, Ilhan Omar made a highly publicized visit to Pakistan-occupied Kashmir too. In POK, she promised to quote mainstream, unquote, Pakistan's concerns over India's human rights violations in Kashmir. Once again, did she raise Pakistan state's role in quashing the democratic rights of Kashmiris in POK? No, viewers, she did not. Not once ever, in fact, has she done so. Did Rahul Gandhi not think it plausible to ask her, why, madam? You're the champion, the torch bearer of human rights, of Islamophobia, of illiberalism. Why haven't you ever questioned Pakistan? In fact, so selective is Ilhan Omar on civil liberties that she has never criticized Pakistan's human rights record in POK or the rampant Hindu phobia or xenophobia in other provinces of Pakistan in the US legislature. She has never, ever moved a resolution against Pakistan where minority populations have dwindled in sharp contrast to India. Ilhan Omar is backed by the CAIR, whose executive director, Nihad Awad, who is very close to the dreaded Islamist Muslim Brotherhood that has targeted India. The Muslim Brotherhood, in any case, is a repressive hate-mongering machine that imposes an obscurantist version of the Sharia and treats women as chattel. Now, viewers, you'll remember last year or maybe the year before that, Rahul Gandhi was comparing the RSS to the Muslim Brotherhood. He said they were both horrifically prejudiced organizations. Now, viewers, Ilhan Omar is courted, is almost a part of an organization whose boss is sympathetic and promoted by the Islamic Brotherhood, and Rahul Gandhi doesn't think anything of questioning her on her links to the Muslim Brotherhood. Viewers, think about that. Omar has even raised funds for the Islamic Circle of North America, the ICNA, which is linked to Jamaat-e-Islami, a dreaded anti-India Islamist organization. Has Omar Ilhan ever thought to distance herself from an organization that has the blood of hundreds of thousands of Bangladeshis on its hands, brutalized during the 1971 freedom movement? Rahul Gandhi's own grandmother, viewers, stood by those Bangladeshis who were cut down by the Jamaat-e-Islami. Rahul Gandhi didn't think it necessary to ask her, why do you go around raising funds for the Jamaat-e-Islami? Or a proxy of the Jamaat-e-Islami, viewers? Would German lawmakers back the Nazis? No, viewers, they won't. But Ilhan Omar has no problem backing an organization linked to the genocide of Bangladeshi Hindus and Muslims who wanted freedom for themselves. Omar slammed Islamophobia in India but declined to vote in favor of a resolution recognizing Armenian genocide by Ottoman Turks. What does that tell us about her commitment to human rights, viewers? In 2019, Omar had courted controversy when she had defended the 9/11 terrorists by referring to them as, quote, some people doing something, unquote. What does Rahul Gandhi have in common with a terror apologist that he has to sit with her in a meeting, legitimize her viewers and her views, give them oxygen, and post photographs as if he's climbed Mount Everest? Ilhan Omar is also a proponent of the, quote, one nation, unquote, solution to Israel-Palestine conflict, which effectively means refusing to let Israel exist as a country, which is exactly what Hamas endorses, viewers. Why would Rahul Gandhi dignify such anti-Semitism by choosing to meet Ilhan Omar? What is the compulsion, viewers? What is the compulsion? Rahul didn't just meet Ilhan Omar. The photograph tweeted by the Congress party also marks the presence of US lawmaker Barbara Lee. In June 2023, Lee, along with Jayapal, wrote to President Biden asking him either not to host the state dinner for Prime Minister Narendra Modi or to raise some specific issues with regards to democratic backsliding and human rights. No patriot would ever want to be caught dead with such a cabal of selective and motivated India bashers, such an illiberal bunch. The only possible explanation is that by meeting the likes of Ilhan Omar, the Congress scion is trying to score brownie points with a section of minorities, especially ahead of the Jammu and Kashmir polls that identifies with the dangerously divisive intent of Ilhan Omar and the gang, the ecosystem. That's the only plausible explanation. Of course, viewers, there are many conspiracy theorists who will talk about the American deep state, this, that, the other, and all of these people being really a front of that, and Rahul Gandhi consorting with that law. I'm not going into all of that, viewers. On the basis of what we know about Ilhan Omar and her illiberalism, her anti-Semitism, her anti-India credentials, simple question, viewers. Even if Rahul Gandhi decided to meet her, did he challenge her? Did he say, hello, Ilhan Omar, why are you so biased against my country? Viewers, evidently he hasn't, because the Congress party would have released either a transcript or, viewers, a recording. Let's open this up. Guru Prakash Paswan, national spokesperson of the BJP, Professor Brahma Chileni, strategic affairs expert, Sumansi Raman, and Tehseen Poonawala, political analyst, are there with us, someone who speaks up for the Congress party. Now, Brahma Chileni, let me ask you, let's try to situate this before we get into the politics in a larger context. We all know who Ilhan Omar is. Why would Rahul Gandhi meet her unconditionally? Fine, okay, you didn't invoke the precedent set by Mr. S. Jaishankar back in 2019. Fair enough. Maybe you were overcome by the occasion. Sometimes it can happen. We can lose our nerve. We don't want to pitch such a fit. But when you're in that room, would you not ask this person? Why is it that you are so selectively biased? Why is it that you're so illiberal? Why is it that you consort with the Muslim Brotherhood that I hate? Why wouldn't he do it?
You raise a fair question, Rahul, but there's something more fundamental at stake. Rahul Gandhi is the leader of the opposition. If that being a constitutional position, one expects him to act with some degree of maturity and responsibility. And he's not the first leader of the opposition. We have had other leaders serving as leader of the opposition. Take Atal Bihari Vajpayee, he was leader of the opposition. And he went overseas as leader of the opposition on more than one occasion. But he never criticized his government or India while on foreign soil. This is a political norm. You never hear American lawmakers coming to India and criticizing their government or their country. Even a junior American congressman visiting a foreign country will not criticize his country or his government. Now, what Rahul Gandhi has been doing on this during this tour of the United States is that he's been breaching political norms. He's been making statements, not just criticizing the Indian government or Prime Minister Modi. It's fair to criticize the government and the Prime Minister when you're at home on Indian soil, but you normally don't do it when you are overseas. But he has also been attacking India. For example, he's criticized in the class and caste composition of India's bureaucracy, or he has said that Sikhs in India face discrimination. He has pandered to US-based Sikh militants. Now, you don't expect the leader of the opposition to play the role of a divider. He should be not saying things that would damage the image of his own country when he's touring a foreign country. For example, by making his statements on Sikhs, which runs counter to the survey carried out by the Pew Research Center, which is a Washington-based respected organization. The Pew Research Center, in its 2021 survey, found that there's a near universal feeling among Sikhs in India that first, that they don't face any major discrimination in India. Second, they're very proud to be Indian. And the vast majority of Sikhs say a person who disrespects India cannot be a Sikh. Now, compare that with the remarks that Rahul Gandhi made. He said that the issue in India is whether Sikhs can actually wear the turban, wear the kada, and visit the Gurdwara. Now, look at his inflammatory rhetoric, his divisive remarks on foreign soil. And I'm quite surprised that he's been making these statements, meeting the junior lawmaker, Ilhan Omar, was quite minor offense compared to the things that he's been saying on his tour. One expects the leader of the opposition to act with certain responsibility. After all, as you rightly pointed out, he's a shadow prime minister.
Let me bring in Dr. Raman. Dr. Raman, thank you for joining us. I know you're on the move, so thank you for taking the time out. But look, even if you criticize the government, let's assume, okay, fair enough, you're in some sort of a seminar, you're asked some questions about your politics vis-a-vis the government's politics, and you do criticize, fair enough, okay, you do so. But why would you meet anti-India, anti-Semitic, anti-liberal lawmakers? Why would you, pander to Sikh separatist rhetoric as Mr. Brahmachaleni is saying? And even if you find yourself in that room, you would surely confront those people on their views and try at least to persuade them into saying that, look, if nothing else, be balanced, don't be so selective against my country.
Yeah, Rahul, first of all, you're making it look like it was a one-on-one meeting with Ilhan Omar. It was not. It was a group of congressmen who actually met Rahul Gandhi, and you're not mentioning the names of Raja Krishnamurthy or Ro Khanna or Pramila Jaipal or Bradley Sherman, who has some of the other Congress members who actually met Rahul Gandhi. So this whole thing is being made out as if, it was a one-on-one meeting that Rahul Gandhi sought to have with Ilhan Omar, which is far from the truth. When you go there and there is a group or delegation of Congress men or Congresswomen coming to meet you, I don't think you as a guest can say that, throw this person out or don't allow this person to come and meet me. So I think it's extremely unfair.
Okay.
Now, about the issue of, people rubbishing India overseas, I just want to jog your memory a little bit and tell me who it was who actually said people were ashamed to be Indians before 2014. Do you recall who said that and where it was said, Rahul? Maybe if you recall that, then you will not be making this issue of Rahul Gandhi and what he said.
Okay.
So, I think you remember that speech, right?
Yes, yes, I do very much.
Multiple times.
I do very much.
People, and if that is not, rubbishing India abroad, you will have to tell me what, maybe Mr. Chelani can say how that fits in with the, glorification.
Can I ask you a couple of questions? You're right.
Sure.
I'm not trying to make this a one-on-one. The pictures are there. But let me tell you, Dr. Raman, Ro Khanna, Jaipal, Babra Lee are all individuals who have passed and signed on to anti-India resolutions. And one second, sir. No, one second. Let me just finish.
Yeah.
Since you said that you cannot ask the host to include or not include X or Y, let me tell you, sir, in 2019, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar cancelled a meeting. Cancelled cancelled a meeting with US lawmakers after they refused to exclude fellow lawmaker Pramila Jayapal from the delegation scheduled to meet him. Why? Because Ms. Jayapal, and those are the pictures on your screens, because Ms. Jayapal had moved a resolution condemning India's actions in Jammu and Kashmir. India's actions, saying there are human rights violations, they were selective. So I'm asking you, if it's okay, no, hang on. If Mr. Jaishankar, a mere minister, right, on an official visit, upset the US. In fact, let me tell you that Kamala Harris, who wants to be the president now, stood by Ms. Jayapal, criticized as Jaishankar, even though she was by then the Vice President of America. So let me tell you, Dr. Raman, if you have a patriotic heart on your sleeve, you will do it. You will say, I'm sorry, I don't want to meet these louts. And even if I do, let me ask them some formal questions and let those be televised.
How do you get the louts, as you call them, to change their mind about India?
You can question them. You can question them. You can have your great interactive sessions with them.
You have a dialogue. And you have a public dialogue, which is what this meeting is all about.
Right.
So I don't understand this
Viewers,
logic.
Let me tell you, the problem is, as the shadow prime minister of this country, not merely an external affairs minister, as a shadow prime minister, I would have put my hand up and said, hello, I'm willing to meet these people. Will they take my questions? Will Ilhan Omar, Babra Ali, Jayapal, Ro Khanna, all these characters, will they answer my question? Why have they never passed a resolution against Pakistan? Why have they never passed a resolution against their own country, United States, for carrying out indiscriminate bombing raids, invading a country, going into Iraq, dropping bombs? Did you know, viewers? He didn't ask. Why? Why, viewers, is the fundamental question. Let's elevate this. Let's elevate this discussion. Why would you not, viewers, as an envoy for this country, as the mascot for this country, as a proud Indian, ask those louts sitting there, illiberal ones who support the Muslim Brotherhood, take money from them, viewers, terrorist organizations, Jamaat-e-Islami fronts that are banned in this country. Would you sit with them as an Indian abroad? And even if you did, even if you found yourself in a compromising position, would you let them go scot-free? Would you give them a free pass? That's the question I'm posing.
They were given a free pass?
Because, sir, there is no indication that the Congress president, that the Congress, that the Congress wannabe president, shadow president, and India's shadow prime minister challenge these chaps, because by now the Congress would have put it out. They haven't. They haven't.
Maybe he did.
I'm sorry, sir. It doesn't work that way. It's been 12 to 15 hours after that meeting. In fact, more. It's going to be a whole day. We don't know. Questions are being asked every second by the Congress. They haven't come out to clarify. So let's not be such apologists. If I was sitting in a room with somebody who supported the Al-Qaeda, I would have said, why am I here? Why are these people being brought here? Are we legitimizing this? Am I becoming an accomplice in giving these people oxygen? Let's ask them. No, that's fine, sir. Jaishankar didn't think so. He could have wrecked India's US relations, but he stood on a matter of principle. And that's not the only person who's done it, by the way, viewers. There have been others who have gone there and said, hang on, I draw the line at this. If you are patriotic, you are not going to look for an excuse to skewer somebody, viewers. There's no apology here. Let me bring in the BJP national spokesman, Tehseen Poonawalla. First, Mr. Poonawalla. Mr. Poonawalla, would you sit in a room with Ilhan Omar?
I am not the BJP.
Would you?
I am not the BJP spokesperson.
Will you, Mr. Poonawalla? Would you sit? Would you sit?
Never will be.
Would you sit in a room with Ilhan Omar and not ask her why she is so selective, why is she anti-Semitic, why is she illiberal, why does she champion the Muslim Brotherhood that actually wants women to be subjugated, to be chattel?
Rahul, there are two parts to your question. Number one, I am not the leader of the opposition in the country, so no, I wouldn't sit with Ilhan Omar, but it is the duty of every lawmaker in the country to engage with every lawmaker in another country, particularly if their opinion is detrimental or against the interest of my country, and to convince them to come on the path that works in interest of my country. Now, I can give you several examples. For example, 12 RSS BJP delegations have met the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. I can give you another example. The Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji engaged with conservative, I'm not saying liberal, conservative MPs in Canada. I've said this on your show. MPs who actually visited Canada and supported a separate formation of Khalistan. Prime Minister Modi was engaging with them. I've said this on your show. Prime Minister Modi went without an agenda, without anything to meet Nawaz Sharif. He made an effort for peace. Nobody called Prime Minister Narendra Modi anti-national. He went to Pakistan, an enemy nation of India, without clearance, without any agenda, and met Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif. Nobody doubted him because he had the interests of India at heart. He wanted to get Nawaz Sharif and Pakistan aligned. He failed. That's fine. People try. How do you know Rahul Gandhi didn't try? He wasn't sitting one-on-one with Ms. Omar, as Dr. rightly said, Suman rightly said, Raman rightly said. He wasn't sitting one-on-one with Ilhan Omar. He was in a group of lawmakers. The agenda was India's progress, US-India ties, and of course he's going to talk about India's interests. This debate of debasing the leader of opposition and saying, oh, he's anti-national. Let me ask you, nothing was more anti-national, nothing in my opinion, than BJP lawmakers. Hear me out, BJP lawmakers, indulging with those who tried to stop the 123 agreement and the nuclear deal for India when India was not assigned to the NSG, and they colluded to try and stop it. That they failed is another matter. Nothing was more anti-India than that. But nobody said Arun Jaitley ji was anti-India. Sushma Swaraj ji was anti-India. Rahul Gandhi was taking forward an India agenda. He's an Indian lawmaker, Indian leader of opposition. He will engage with other lawmakers. One last thing, Rahul, and you know this more than anyone else on this panel. Maybe Brahmaji knows this. India has tracked to diplomacy with Pakistan even today. Therefore, when the missile got fired from India and landed in Pakistan, and of course it had no warhead, if we could immediately on the hotline talk to somebody in Pakistan and say this is not an attack, thereby stopping a Pakistan retaliation. Even today, India is talking to Pakistan. India is talking to Taliban. Why? Why?
Okay, viewers, I'll tell you why this is also problematic. Why Rahul Gandhi may not have actually challenge these people, because if you remember WikiLeaks cables, they were out. Julian Assange went to jail for putting them out.
WikiLeaks is fake.
1 second, sir. If it's fake, then why was the US going after him? Why did he have to spend so many years in prison, etc., etc.? Let's not.
I'm not a citizen of the US.
Oh, just 1 second. Tehseen Poonawalla, let me tell
I'm
you.
not a citizen of the
when
US.
Rahul Gandhi met US diplomats in Delhi, he identified Hindu terror as the #1 threat to this country. And they reported back. Now, viewers, each one of these people in that room have passed resolutions exactly along those same lines. 2 or 3, of course, are Pakistan's puppets. So there's an alignment of views. They believe Hindu terror is rampant, Islamophobia is going through the roof, not realizing that it's not in Pakistan where the minorities are increasing in numbers, but in actually India. That's why Rohingyas want to come here, Afghans want to come here, Kazakhs want to come here, Kyrgyz want to come here, and they come here and they are given refuge, viewers. Bangladeshis want to come here. Because Rahul Gandhi believes that Hindu terror is the #1 threat to this country. He found souls that would echo his view. He's in his echo chamber, viewers. This is not some great theoretical exercise in diplomacy. He's in his echo chamber. 1 minute, let me bring in the BJP national spokesperson. Mr. Tehseen Poonawalla says, so what? Rahul Gandhi is doing exactly what the BJP has done in the past. Would you like to respond?
No, Rahul, I think Mr. Rahul Gandhi having a photo clicked with Ilhan Omar, who, like you said, has introduced anti-India resolution on multiple occasions, her stand is very particular. And Mr. Rahul Gandhi, who is in a constitutional position, the leader of opposition, having a photo clicked is an endorsement of that stand. It is an open secret, and I'm so glad that you had Mr. Chelani on this panel. Of all the people present in this panel, Mr. Chelani is one of the greatest mind of foreign policy of our generation. And if he says something, it carries a lot of weight. It has to be understood, Rahul, that be it Ilhan Omar's visit to Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, I want to ask my dear friend Tehseen Poonawalla. It was the Congress party that has passed a resolution that Pakistan-occupied Kashmir is part of India. It is not the Bharatiya Janata Party exclusively. It is not the exclusive domain of the Bharatiya Janata Party. It is a constitutional prerogative. Unity and integrity of India cannot be a parochial agenda, Tehseen. We have to understand. When Ilhan Umar goes to Pakistan occupied Kashmir, she endorses the narrative of Pakistan. She is there on the Pakistani money. She is there on the Pakistani soil. You have to understand Madam Ilhan Omar has compromised and has played and violated the sovereignty of our country not on one occasion but on multiple occasions. What has given the right? How is Mr. Rahul Gandhi not responsible for this? Your Congress party is celebrating it. The problem, Rahul, we must understand that the Congress party on social media is celebrating Mr. Rahul Gandhi's photograph with someone
says
who has
the Prime Minister met with conservatives, Canada, this, that, the other. He also sat with people who had anti-India views.
May I respond to this specific thing?
No, one second. Let him finish.
No.
Guru
Problem is this.
counter question.
Rahul,
He's putting it on you. He's saying that you
that
guys do exactly the same. CCP के साथ भी meetings की हैं, तो what's the big deal?
No. CPP, अरे 2008 में CPP के साथ MOU साइन किया था इन्होंने. Rahul, I think you of all the people are very well aware of the fact that they signed an MOU. Rajiv Gandhi Foundation or Rajiv Gandhi Institute of Contemporary Studies has received money from the CCP. CCP has supported and financed the think tank of my friend Tehseen Poonawala. RGICS, RGF is a Congress funded think tank. CCP से तो आपने पैसे लिए हैं. So I don't think that Mr. Tehseen Poonawala or Congress party has any moral authority or locus standi to speak on the alliance with CCP. But this is a more deeper problem. We have to understand that you are on a foreign soil and like you said, a shadow prime minister because he will never become the actual prime minister.
So let me tell you, let me bring in Mr. Chileni one last time.
A constitutional
Before we move on.
May I please make one point? May I please make one very important intervention? Just one very important intervention.
Okay, make your point.
I won't take more than a minute. Rahul, sometimes I really do wish India had a strong and powerful Prime Minister like the ex-Chief Minister of Gujarat, Narendra Modi ji, who since 2014 would have ensured that this MOU is exposed. Who would have said, why did he in PM Care Fund take 50 crore rupees from China? But more importantly, leave all of this. When Ilhan Omar went to POK, which is a legitimate part of India, and I believe this, and I can die for India, he would have said, I will boycott Kamala Harris. I will not deal with her anymore under Democrats, even if she becomes president. Abhi, मैं Prime Minister hota
Sir, do you know that the MEA, hang on, just a minute, the MEA kicked her off. No, hang on, just a minute. No, excuse me, I'll tell you what happened. You actually hit the nail. No, 1 second. Now let me finish, please. Now let me come in with the facts. Viewers, the MEA raised this with great concern with the Americans. And you know what the Americans did? They did a complete volte-face. A statement was put out by the MEA saying that we will not tolerate this nonsense. Please explain under what capacity has Ilhan Omar gone there? This is going to upset our relationship. Immediately, the US State Department and the White House issued statements saying that she went there in her private capacity. They backtracked, they abandoned Ilhan Omar. Viewers, please. Now, I want to bring in Mr. Chilani. Now, listen, I gave you your time. You put your foot in your mouth. You walked into this. You said, why didn't the Indian government do anything about it? The Indian government did a lot about it. Ilhan Omar was then...
So if she went in a private capacity
on Indian, and viewers, let me also tell you that Ilhan Omar was also kicked out.
If she was not...
1 second, sir. Now, please don't speak over me. Ilhan Omar was also kicked out. 1 second. Was also kicked out of, viewers, the Foreign Relations Committee, the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, because she was thought to be a liability. That is the kind of person that Rahul Gandhi was meeting with, fraternizing with, and 2 or 3 others who share her point of view in Washington, D.C., and never asked them a question which challenged them. And you know why, viewers? Because he believes what they believe. He's at one with them. His sister tweeted against Israel. Ilhan Omar does that repeatedly. She doesn't even want Israel to exist. She wants a one-state solution in the Gulf. Rahul Gandhi believes that Hindus are killers. He has said it on numerous occasions that Hindu terror is the #1 threat to this country. And you heard Tehseen Poonawala very rightly come out and say, Very rightly, he came out and
no.
said,
Where did he say
look at the
Hindus are killers?
WikiLeaks, look at the
I
WikiLeaks. He
object
talks
to
about
this.
the RSS. RSS has not
No,
got
no, he
Hindus
never
in
said
them.
Hindus are killers.
RSS
I
has
don't
no
know
Hindus
about
in
it.
them.
RSS
RSS
are not
has no
Hindus.
Hindus in them. He calls the RSS a terror organization. He compares it to Muslim Brotherhood.
How can you just misquote the LOP this
Viewers,
way? I'm sorry,
let me
Rahul.
tell you.
You're not allowing me to speak. You've made a statement
Tehseen
that's not
Poonawala
true.
even came out and said, I would not have sat with Ilhan Umar. Yet his Sambandhi does. I wish Tehseen was the leader of the opposition today. At least he would have had better sense. At least he would have taken a more strident view of things. 1 second, let me bring in Mr. Chileni. Mr. Chileni, you heard some of the arguments. What do you make of these arguments?
My concern is larger. Over the last 25 years, India's geopolitical weight and international profile have been rising. But if you hear the statements of the leader of the opposition on his current US tour, you would think of India as a country in turmoil, a country where inequality, lack of opportunity, and divisions are so chronic as to weigh the country down.
Yeah.
So this kind of messaging that Rahul Gandhi has been conveying on his US tour flies in the face of India's salience in international affairs. As the leader of the opposition, I expect him to keep his politics at home when he goes overseas. He could have made his tour of the US to present himself as an upcoming leader, as a future prime minister.
Yes.
To have a more upbeat agenda. As a young leader, relatively young leader, he's not that young anymore. He's 54 or so. But as a relatively young leader who has a future,
Yeah.
he could have presented himself
Absolutely.
as the promise of the future.
Exactly.
Instead, attacking his own country
What?
on American soil at a time when the Americans have literally affected a major regime change in Bangladesh, taken India by surprise, and they're already aiding the insurgency in Myanmar by supplying arms to rebels in Myanmar. So creating this problem in Manipur where drones are coming in
True.
and other weapons. Given these geopolitical realities, I would have wished that Rahul Gandhi had displayed greater in his remarks in the US, and the way he portrayed the Sikhs in India, and the way the terror group, designated in India as a terror group, the Sikhs for Justice, Panun's group, the way that group welcomed Rahul Gandhi's remarks underscores the fact that when you make divisive comments on foreign soil, you will certainly give succor to those who want to disintegrate India.
There you go, viewers. This is not a view that comes from any political party. Brahma Chalani is a critic of also Modi's foreign policy. You can read the work that he has done for years altogether. So he is an independent voice speaking independently tonight, and he is counseling Rahul Gandhi to rise above. As I had begun by saying, the leader of India's opposition occupies a constitutional post. He is virtually the shadow prime minister of the country. The people expect Rahul Gandhi to hold the government to account. But the right doesn't and can never extend to the undermining of the nation's territorial integrity or sovereignty, especially on foreign soil. Viewers, think about that. And I want to move on because there has been a massive protest. Massive. And it's not just today, but these are the scenes. This is Shimla, viewers. Just look at the pictures. These protesters want a local 5-story mosque demolished immediately. These protests were first triggered a few weeks ago after there was widespread anger ignited by an attack on local businessmen and traders by assailants from the minority community. The assailants were chased but managed to hide inside the mosque. Locals from the majority community now claim that the allegedly illegal mosque in the heart of the hill town has become a safe house for, quote, outsiders with dubious antecedents, unquote. Senior ministers in the Himachal Pradesh Congress-led government have acknowledged that the mosque is illegal in the Legislative Assembly and should, in fact, be demolished. A state minister even said that the mosque was built on encroached land encroached by the Waqf. Despite the admission, the state government also acknowledges that it is powerless to act because the land is claimed by the Area Waqf Board. The latter, by the way, also admits that parts of the mosque have been built without clearances from the local planning department. The matter is now in court. So the Waqf Board that is illegally allegedly taken over this land, though it claims that it is legally in occupation of it, acknowledges, the Waqf Board itself acknowledges that there are illegal constructions in this building. From a single story, it became 5-story. But viewers, above and beyond all of this, the state government acknowledging, the Waqf Board acknowledging, this has not come down. It highlights the overarching power of the Waqf boards and how one community has come to acquire a veto over the state itself, viewers. That's the problem here. The controversial features of the Waqf Act, Section 3, allows Waqf boards to claim land if they believe it belongs to a Muslim without needing proof. We have instances where Hindu villages, entire Hindu villages and temples that have predate Islam, viewers, have been taken over because the Waqf feels that this is Muslim land. Section 6, aggrieved parties have just 1 year to appeal claims on land and assets before Waqf boards. If they miss that, both, viewers, they're gone. And it's the Waqf board that becomes judge and jury and executioner. Now let's open this up, viewers. Let's ask some fundamental questions. Are we now in a situation where friends, and I want to begin with Karan Verma, one community is exercising a veto above all others, and yet we call ourselves a secular country? How does this work, Karan Verma? And the Congress still stands in the way of any amendment to the Waqf Board to stop this communal legislation or communal state of affairs to persist.
And the worst is, Rahul, that it's come from the top Muslim bodies that Waqf needs to be reformed. I mean, 4 lakh acres goes up to 9.4 lakh acres in a matter of 20 years. And this has come from the standing committee headed by K. Rahman Khan, by the Sachar committee. So they pick and choose from the Sachar committee. And what's happened here, Rahul, it's absolutely atrocious. Let me just give you some stats. In the Sanjouli market area, where we have this illegal mosque, 22 cases of theft have happened this year. 5 cases of chain snatching, 2 abductions, and the one businessman that you mentioned who was horribly assaulted. So the fact is, today women are scared to go out in the Sanjouli market area. This mosque, this illegal mosque, and it's been going on from 2010, by the way. 14 years, the government has done nothing about it. Successive governments, whether BJP or Congress. But right now, the Congress has to do. The Rural Development Minister, as you said, Anirudh Singh, has admitted that yes, this is an illegal structure. And still, they are in cahoots with these radical Maulanas. And by the way, the demographic change that we are seeing in Himachal, and most of them are fugitives who've run from UP, who've come, the UP ATS tabled a report in the UP Legislative Assembly where their fugitives are now absconding, and most of them have gone to Uttarakhand and Himachal. There are 50 to 100 people sleeping at night in these mosques. Nobody knows about them. There was a bust by the Himachal police under the Congress. 200 Muslim laborers did not have proper Aadhaar cards. It had the photos of children, and all of them had the same date of birth, 1st January 2007. So where are we heading? I mean, we are sitting on a ticking time bomb. People have run out of patience on this. Since the COVID days, we've seen protests, and now it's come to the point where, the camel's back has broken.
Camel's back is broken. Tehseen Poonawalla, will you still choose appeasement, or will you choose the side of the law, sir, and throw in your lot and pass the Waqf amendment so that we don't have scenes like this and we don't have illegal structures that provide, according to the Hindu community there, a safe house to, as I said to you, all sorts of outsiders with dubious antecedents. I'm not saying it. This is what the remark was. Yes, Mr. Poonawalla.
Perfect. I'm very grateful to Karan. He spoke a lot of sense, and like always, he spoke very accurately. Look, this matter is pending for 14 years. Which is the only government that's acknowledged that this is unauthorized, the Congress government? Which is the only government who sent a notice to the mosque, the Congress government? Prior to this was BJP, even in the local body, they did nothing. Now the matter is posted for the next day. BJP, as usual, smelling blood, has tried to make it a Hindu-Muslim issue. It's not a Hindu-Muslim issue, it's a issue of unauthorized construction. Congress is acting against it. Now for the last point. About unauthorized people, people who are outsiders, Rohingyas and Bangladeshis coming into India. Again, I say, I wish I was Prime Minister of India. I would have handled it. If they are coming to India, who controls the borders? Who controls the borders? Why is that man not being put? And last thing, the Waqf Amendment Act, whatever amendments need to be made in Parliament, why did Nitish ji say it should be sent to the standing committee? He said that on your show also, his MPs. Why did Chandrababu Naidu not support it? The ND is not one on it. When they come with the final amendments, we can talk to the opposition. They themselves don't have the amendments. The NDA doesn't have the amendments. The BJP did nothing while in government. Today the Congress is done. It sent a notice. It's saying that there's unauthorized construction. It's saying they're going to deal with it. And who's protesting? BJP. Why did BJP not do anything when they were in power? That is the question. That is the question. Like Haina, they smelt blood and they've come.
Okay, response.
So
Mr.
Rahul, I'm glad Tehseen admitted that there is a problem of illegal immigration, whether it's Rohingyas, illegal structures. Every single time Himanta Biswa Sarma has cracked down on it. I mean, you're talking about welcoming a move on regularizing things or taking down illegal structures. Every single time Himanta Biswa Sarma actually does that in Assam, you are out in arms and saying that what he's doing is against the Jamaat. What he's doing is dog whistle politics. He is communal. He's bigot. So, we can't pick and choose as per our convenience. That happened in Assam. There also you had a problem. Here you are not doing it now that you are in power. So, we can't just selectively cherry pick here. This is the time the Congress needs to act when your own rural development minister has said it's a problem. Why are you allowing this tension to fester? I mean, you need to fix it now. You are in power.
Tehseen Poonawalla, it's your administration, your government, your executive, your everything. Why hasn't something already been done? Why do people have to come up in these numbers?
Once again, Karan is bang on target. He should actually, the BJP should get somebody like him. He's perfect on target. Number one, unauthorized people, Himanta Biswa Sarma does not need to act. In fact, he didn't act. He changed the NRC list. He said, no, we'll do an NRC again. He went against the Supreme Court order. He's not acting. Nobody's acting. The Prime Minister has failed on outside influences. It is only the Congress government that's acting on unauthorized construction. They're saying this is unauthorized. They sent a notice. The next date of hearing is fixed. The BJP did as much as the Prime Minister's press conference is zero. And now, like Hainas, when they smell blood, they've come. They're trying to make it a Hindu-Muslim issue. It's an issue of illegal construction, unauthorized construction. It should be dealt in that way. Any amendments in the Parliament should be supported by Nitishji and Chandrababu Naidu ji. They have a majority. Do it. They have a majority in Rajya Sabha also. They refuse to do it. Why?
Okay.
That is the question. The question is Congress is doing it and still being targeted. BJP is doing nothing and still trying to make it a Hindu-Muslim issue. That is the point.
What you have is a problem because till the Waqf Act is there, even the courts actually have very limited jurisdiction. Let me tell you this. So I hope that the BJP government gets its act together and introduces the Waqf Amendment Bill in the next session of Parliament and the Congress supports them. And Tehseen, by the way, it's not hyenas anymore, it's wolves, on a lighter note, that are smelling blood in this country. I'll take a quick break. The Right Stand. Anand Narasimhan, don't go away, viewers.
Them against their political opponent. And I'm winning most of them, and I will win the rest on appeal. And you saw that with the decision that came down just recently from the Supreme Court. I'm winning most of them. But those are cases, it's called weaponization. Never happened in this country. They weaponized the Justice Department. Every one of those cases was involved with the DOJ, from Atlanta and Fani Willis to the Attorney General of New York and the DA in New York. Every one of those cases. And then they say, oh, he's a criminal. They're the ones that made them go after me. By the way, Joe Biden was found essentially guilty on the documents case. And what happened in my documents case? They said, oh, that's the toughest of them all. A complete and total victory. 2 months ago, it was thrown out. It's weaponization, and they used it, and it's never happened. They used it to try and win an election. They're fake cases. First, let me respond as to the rallies. She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there, and then showing them in a different light. So she can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics. That's because people want to take their country back. Our country is being lost. We're a failing nation. And it happened 3.5 years ago. And what's going on here, you're going to end up in World War III, just to go into another subject. What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame. As far as rallies are concerned, as far as the reason they go is they like what I say. They want to bring our country back. They want to make America great again. It's a very simple phrase, make America great again. She's destroying this country, and if she becomes president, this country doesn't have a chance of success. Not only success, we'll end up being Venezuela on steroids.
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is
the people on television say my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
but
television.
But the people
I'm
on television saying their
manager.
dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Again, the Springfield city manager says there's no evidence of that. Vice
We'll
President
find
Harris,
out.
I'll let you respond to the rest of what you've heard.
You talk about extreme. This is, I think, one of the reasons why in this election, I actually have the endorsement of 200 Republicans who have formerly worked with President Bush, Mitt Romney, and John McCain, including the endorsement of former Vice President Dick Cheney and Congress member Liz Cheney. And if you want to really know the inside track on who the former president is, if he didn't make it clear already, just ask people who have worked with him. His former chief of staff, a 4-star general, has said he has contempt for the Constitution of the United States. His former national security advisor has said he is dangerous and unfit. His former Secretary of Defense has said the nation, the republic, would never survive another Trump term. And when we listen to this kind of rhetoric, when the issues that affect the American people are not being addressed, I think the choice is clear in this election.
President Trump, I'll give you a quick minute to respond here.
Thank you, because when I hear that, see, I'm a different kind of a person. I fired most of those people. Not so graciously. They did bad things or a bad job. I fired them. They never fired one person. They didn't fire anybody having to do with Afghanistan and the Taliban and the 13 people who's were just killed, viciously and violently killed. And I got to know the parents and the family. They didn't fire. They should have fired all those generals, all those top people, because that was one of the most incompetently handled situations anybody has ever seen. So when somebody does a bad job, I fire him. And you take a guy like Esper, he was no good, I fired him, so he writes a book. Another one writes a book, because with me they can write books, with nobody else can they. But they have done such a poor job, and they...
Climate change is on our doorstep. It's time for a revolution to take root. And it starts with 1.4 billion Indians. It starts with one tree for humanity, one tree for Mother Earth, one tree for our future. Project One Tree, a News 18 network initiative.
Co-powered by
anybody. Look at the economy. Look at the inflation. They didn't fire any of their economists. They have the same people. But just to finish, I got more votes than any Republican in history by far. In fact, I got more votes than any sitting president in history by far.
Let me continue on immigration. It was what you wanted to talk about earlier, so let's get back to your deportation proposal that the vice president has reacted to as well. President Trump, you call this the largest domestic deportation operation in the history of our country. You say you would use the National Guard. You say if things get out of control, you'd have no problem using the U.S. military.
Police, yes.
You also said you would use local police. How would you deport 11 million undocumented immigrants? I know you believe that number is much higher. Take us through this. What does this look like? Will authorities be going door to door in this country?
Yeah, it is much higher because of them. They allowed criminals, many millions of criminals. They allowed terrorists. They allowed common street criminals. They allowed people to come in, drug dealers, to come into our country. And they're now in the United States and told by their countries like Venezuela, don't ever come back or we're going to kill you. Do you know that crime in Venezuela and crime in countries all over the world is way down? You know why? Because they've taken their criminals off the street and they've given them to her to put into our country. And this will be one of the greatest mistakes in history for them to allow, and I think they probably did it because they think they're going to get votes, but it's not worth it because they're destroying the fabric of our country by what they've done. There's never been anything done like this at all. They've destroyed the fabric of our country. Millions of people let in, and all over the world, crime is down all over the world except here. Crime here is up and through the roof. Despite their fraudulent statements that they made, crime in this country is through the roof. And we have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime. And it's happening at levels that nobody thought possible.
President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country. But
Excuse me, the FBI they were defrauding statements. They didn't include the worst cities. They didn't include the cities with the worst crime. It was a fraud. Just like their number of 818,000 jobs that they said they created turned out to be a fraud.
President Trump, thank you. I'll let you respond, Vice President Harris.
Well, I think this is so rich coming from someone who has been prosecuted for national security crimes, economic crimes, election interference, has been found liable for sexual assault, and his next big court appearance is in November at his own criminal sentencing. And let's be clear where each person stands on the issue of what is important about respect for the rule of law and respect for law enforcement. The former vice president called for defunding federal law enforcement, 45,000 agents, get this, on the day after he was arraigned on 34 felony counts. So let's talk about what is important in this race. It is important that we move forward, that we turn the page on this same old tired rhetoric and address the needs of the American people, address what we need to do about the housing shortage, which I have a plan for, address what we must do to support our small businesses, address bringing down the price of groceries. But frankly, the American people are exhausted with this same old tired playbook.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
Excuse me. Every one of those cases was started by them against their political opponent. And I'm winning most of them, and I will win the rest on appeal. And you saw that with the decision that came down just recently from the Supreme Court. I'm winning most of them. But those are cases, it's called weaponization. Never happened in this country. They weaponized the Justice Department.
Namaste, Jai Hind, and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I'm Anand Narsimhan. First up, ladies and gentlemen, the big story, 2 days, 2 controversies on foreign soil. The leader of opposition in the Lok Sabha, Rahul Gandhi, has been in the thick of things. Is he not an equal representative of Bharat as leader of the opposition? If in the country he ran a campaign, said Bharat Jodo, are his engagements, his utterances and his meetings and people that he's been seen with, hobnobbing with, are they following a different agenda altogether of Bharat Todo? That's the argument and the question that we'll try and address in this edition of The Right Stand. First up, now a day after stirring a massive controversy with his remark on the state of religious freedom in Bharat, citing the example of Sikhs, he is mired in fresh controversy.